Imagine being diagnosed with an illness that no one knows much about, aside from its connection to New York Yankee Lou Gehrig, whose career and life were tragically cut short by a fatal neuromuscular disorder called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. In 1976, Les Turner and his family and friends were faced with that diagnosis, only to find no care, no cure, no options. So they started a foundation and began raising money to create a small laboratory in partnership with Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. Headed by Dr. Burke Jubelt, it was the first research laboratory solely dedicated to finding a cure for ALS. As the foundation began to reach out to patients and families, it quickly discovered a more immediate concern, helping to improve their quality of life. So, in 1986, Dr. Donald Harder recruited Scott Heller to Northwestern, where he joined forces with Burke Jubelt and Shari Diamond to open the Lois and Solia ALS Center. Named for a patient whose family helped fund it, the center pioneered the idea of a multidisciplinary, clinical approach to patient care.
My first exposure to ALS was at the VA at Lakeside. At that time, I was a young neurology resident that saw really a horrific illness that went rapidly and relentlessly progressive. There was no cure, there wasn't much care for these patients. From that time on, I was interested in helping with the plight of those with ALS, and I was just lucky that the Les Turner ALS Foundation, Northwestern University, put their arms around me and said, come start a center here. Soon the patients started to come, and of course they had needs. And with each need, we needed an expert. And over the years, we have recruited the expertise of many, many care providers with the kind funding of the Les Turner ALS Foundation.
Today, the Les Turner ALS Foundation is a leader in ALS research, patient care, and education, serving 90% of the Chicago area affected by the disease, like Dick and Chris Jacobson.
When I was diagnosed with ALS originally, it was by a neurologist out in Hinsdale. He said, you need to go downtown and see the experts, and these are the people you need to go see.
The first and best advice we got when we started here is try and get ahead of the disease, whatever is going to come up. Be prepared ahead of time, and boy, they've been doing that for us.
The Les Turner ALS Foundation isn't about any one thing. It's their programs. It's the Lois and Solia ALS Center. Other organizations throughout the country look to the Les Turner ALS Foundation. That's where they find the template, the roadmap of how to take care of ALS.
The ability to come to one place is just unbelievable, considering how much of a pain it is to get to doctor's offices, doctor appointments.
We visit with Dr. Heller, we visit with our nurse, we visit with the physical therapist, the speech therapist, you name it, they're all here. It is just wonderful.
It's an amazing group of individuals with probably over 200 years of expertise in ALS care.
For 27 of those years, Scott Heller has taken an active role in the foundation, creating a close bond with patients and their families, and colleagues like Shari Diamond.
Scott is my friend, but mostly he's been my mentor. He wanted me to really understand what ALS was, and through his teaching and his caring, I became very familiar with what the disease process was.
Dr. Heller seems to get it. He knows that this is not just a physical disease that's affecting Dick. It affects the family, it affects everything, our home environment, transportation, friends, social life.
He's the only doctor I've ever had in my life where I never felt rushed. He goes beyond just the medical part. He's kind of picking my brain, how my attitude is. Is there any depression? Are there things going on outside of just the medical field that he might be able to provide some guidance?
Some of the older lady patients just tell me how adorable he is. And mostly I just hear he's approachable. And from a patient or family living with this disease, that's one of the highest compliments I think any of us could be paid, is that we're accessible.
Every 90 minutes, someone is diagnosed with ALS. In 10% of the cases, it is hereditary, but it can happen to anyone, at any age. It starts innocuously, a weakness in the hands or legs, or difficulty in speaking or swallowing. But gradually, all the muscles in the body shut down, usually resulting in complete paralysis. Meanwhile, the patient is fully aware of what is happening, and it can move quickly. Typically, patients live 2 to 5 years. As the disease progresses and the day-to-day things become harder, walking, talking, eating, breathing, the amount of care that is required is extraordinary. Which is why the foundation established a community outreach program with specialists like nurse consultant Shari Diamond, who brings Dr. Heller's brand of care into the home.
The major difference between when I started in 1986 to today is that we have a greater understanding of the disease. There's just so many more things that we're able to offer patients and their families to make living with this illness easier and help them live better. I can say to somebody, you really would benefit from having a neck collar, and I may have one in my pool I can loan you. And you know what, you would really do well if you could get some caregiver help in the home. And here's a grant application so that we can help pay for some of this for you.
Such home visits are of critical importance to patients and families like Ed and Dottie Hardy.
I know the disease is tough, but I try to stay as positive as they are. They're very positive people. I like that. I feel good when Sherry comes. I feel that they have a personal interest in each individual.
And you know, when you're out there with this, you're kind of alone. But she is so good and so compassionate. And she's made such a difference in Ed's life, and as a result, a difference in my life.
It's a connection that inspires patients and their loved ones to support the foundation as well. Ed Hardy's daughters ran in the Chicago Marathon to represent their dad, who was a runner. And volunteer fireman Dick Jacobson rallied teams at various events to help raise money for the cause.
Just as people did it for us years ago without knowing it was for us. We're the beneficiaries of that now. So it's a way to help now, and it's a way to help future generations go through this. I've got 4 kids, my parents are alive, I've got 2 brothers. I don't need to have people seeing me, you know, sitting in the corner feeling sorry for myself. So the fact that we can get out and do something, the nice walk, collecting money from the cars driving down the street with the tag day improves our attitude. It feels good to say, yeah, we've got a piece of this. And maybe the money we raised bought that piece of equipment, or might buy the next piece of equipment to go next to this one here.
With 2 world-class research laboratories, one led by Dr. Tipu Siddique and one by Dr. Hyundai Ozdenlaer, the Les Turner ALS Foundation, in partnership with Northwestern, is closer than ever to finding answers to ALS. Starting in 1991, immediately after coming to Northwestern, Dr. Siddique and his team revolutionized ALS research with the discovery of a gene linked to a hereditary form of the disease. Then in 2011, they found a common mechanism that may be shared in all forms of ALS. A discovery that gives hope for other diseases as well, like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
It sometimes has been difficult to walk into the room of an ALS patient without what they want, the cure. Years ago, I had my care provider team, but now I have the research backing to know that we're going to get rid of this illness. With these things in hand, I have a little bounce in my step.
It's a feeling Dr. Rob Suffett, director of the Lois Insolia Center, shares.
The ability of the Les Turner organization and Scott and people like him means that when I want to do a clinical trial, there are patients who are willing to take extra time out of their days to come in for those clinical trials. And that same attitude helps in terms of Dr. Siddique's research, because he can't do the research he does so well without having a patient population from which to draw. That's really important. If you can give them some hope and make a difference in their lives and in the people who come after them, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing those things.
I think the fact that the foundation exists to support all this is phenomenal. Without that support, you cannot move as fast, and ALS needs super speed. We're this close to finding what this is all about. And if the foundation and the support and the people that come to the forefront support all of this, the better for the ALS patients, big time. And of course, you.
Yeah.
I just feel like I couldn't ask for a better place to be in if this is what we have to go through. They guide us in such a gentle, kind, caring way.
Much of that is due to Scott Heller, who not only brings humanity to his work, but plays an integral role in the foundation's success. Everything from participating in the walk and Lou Gehrig days to serving on the board of directors.
It would be wonderful if we could figure out a way to clone Dr. Heller. Just the fact that he's stayed with the foundation, doing the amazing work he's done for all these years, says what kind of a compassionate, dedicated man he is. He genuinely cares about the well-being of everybody, his patients, the program, the clinic, the foundation.
Scott's one of the good guys. You really have to have a passion and a care about this, and Scott exemplifies that.
And so tonight, we honor Scott Heller for bringing hope through caring to patients and their families, and for dedicating his life to their cause.
I feel privileged to be part of the care of so many individuals afflicted by this illness during a time which is clearly the hardest times of their lives. It has become a lifetime passion for me. I was once a resident, tapping reflexes, and then seemingly the next day, I'm part of this huge organization and everything that it does. So I can come in and help the wonderful families that have really opened their hearts to me. I'm a very lucky man.